Hey everyone. I came on early. Hey everyone. Because I wanted to make sure that technology was not going to fail me today like it did the other day. Last Tuesday, I don't know if you guys saw, but I had the worst problem with Facebook. I could not get it to upload the video. So it never did upload. So I hope you guys got to go over to YouTube and see the video. Anyway, so I'm a couple minutes early, and I don't want you guys who are here to have to wait around. But we'll talk for a minute about this block anyway before we get started. I fell in love with the quilt by Jackie Gearing. I don't know if you guys have heard of her. She was the president of the Modern Quilt Guild National for a few years. I don't know if she still is or not because I haven't been paying attention to the Modern Quilt Guild recently. But anyway, Jackie's a friend of mine, and I used to follow her blog back when she used to blog. And I don't know if she blogs anymore. I don't really read blogs anymore, but she had a quilt that she made back in 2010, and I was following her blog at the time, and it was a spiderweb quilt, just like this one, but she made hers with um, selvages and an aqua, just an aqua solid for the background. And I just thought it was the most beautiful quilt ever. And I fell in love with it, and I have been wanting to make one ever since. So I saved up selvages for years and years, and I got tired of saving selvages, so I got rid of all my selvages. And then I thought, well, I'll never make that quilt because I have to save up selvages. But anyway, I did get rid of all my selvages, and then I never thought anything was special enough to use for the strings for this quilt because I knew it was going to take me some time to make it. And but I do think Liberty is special enough. And now I have some strips left from cutting the charm packs and the pre-cut hexagons, which I'm going to start selling pretty soon. We'll have pre-cut hexagon club going on every month. So anyway, I had some strips left from the die cutter, and I thought they're all different size strips, and they're so pretty because they're Liberty. So I thought they would be great for making these spiderweb blocks. So you should have gotten the templates in your email this morning if you're in the club or on the wait list. And just to let you know, Tilda Club and Liberty League are both opening for new members at the end of the month on the 28th. So if you've been waiting, that is going to happen. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So these are I just pre-cut some rectangles to use for the backgrounds. That's the only thing I'm pre-cutting. These are 4 inches by 6 inches. They fit really well on that template. So all you need to do is you want the paper to go on the back side of your fabric. So flip the fabric over so that the right side is down. And I'm using Elmer's Full Glue because it works great and it's less expensive than fabric glue and it washes off, so it's not a big deal. I don't use this for when I'm doing EPP just because I don't find it as easy to get the glue where I want it, but since we're doing a big chunk, it works great for this. So all I'm doing is just, you can, if you want to, you can line it up so you have straight of grain. That works too. Actually, you could probably get by with a smaller piece, even if you did that. So maybe even just like a 4 by 4 inch piece would fit. So I'm just gluing it onto the back of the fabric. I reused my paper, you can see. And just make sure that you have enough to cover all the way to this corner and 1/4 of an inch past each of these lines. So that's how we started. And then all I'm going to do is just take let's see, I probably have some piece of cardboard around here somewhere. Junk mail. So I gathered all my junk mail and I'm using it with my die cutter to cut out EPP pieces with the die cutter on my junk mail. I mean, what better way to use your junk mail than to use it for EPP, right? So I am folding back on the line I'm folding back the paper. And then if you guys have a add a quarter ruler, you can use that. I'm just using a regular ruler. And I'm going to add 1/4 of an inch for the seam allowance. And that's just 1/4 of an inch past that line that we're going to sew on. Now this is just like you would do if you were paper piecing, foundation paper piecing. Only we're not going to use the paper for anything other than a guide later on. So we're only going to use it this one time for sewing on the line, and the rest of the time you're going to free sew all of the pieces. So I'm just cutting it so there's 1/4 of an inch past that line. Just like that. And I'm just leaving the extra at the top because it doesn't matter. We'll cut that off later. It's kind of fun to see the magic happen at the end when you cut it all out and make your little pieces match up. So I'm just giving myself 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So today I was filling boxes, and I had an emergency dental appointment this morning. I broke a tooth. It's actually been broken for a few years. I grind my teeth at night, and I had one very sharp upper tooth that broke the lower tooth when I was grinding my teeth. So it's been broken for a few years, but it finally broke off. It broke. They gave me a filling, and then is anybody going to say anything? Say hi to me, please. They gave me a filling and said they didn't know how long it was going to last, and it finally broke off. So that's what I was doing this morning. But then I was filling boxes. So your boxes are going out this week. Give me just a second. I'm a little tied up here with my... Can you guys hear me? Am I plugged in? I can't even tell if this thing is plugged in. Oh, okay. There we go. My microphone is tied up with the other cords. Give me just a second. Microphone cable is about 20 feet long, so that I can go everywhere in this room with it. There. There's an advertisement. Okay, I am going to go over to the sewing machine. And by the magic of television, you can see my sewing machine. Okay. So all we're going to do, the very first 2 seams are the only ones that you need to worry about that line. This is Liberty. I have a box full of scraps from cutting charm packs, and so I'm using those. So all I'm going to do is put the fabric right side to right side, flip this over, and sew right on that line, just like you would any other time you're foundation paper piecing. And I have shortened my seam to 1 1/2. You can do 1 1/2 to 1 1/8, somewhere around there, or 1.5 and 1.8, I should have said, because that's centimeters. Or just shorten it. I know some older machines don't have the same sorts of measurements, but so I am just putting right side to right side with the fabrics. This one's hard to tell which one's the right side and which one's the wrong side. Oh, that's the right side. Okay. It looks the same almost on both sides. And I am going to chain piece, but not really, because I lift the foot. And I'm just sewing right on the line. You can do this with however many pieces that you have. I made the quilt with 49 whole blocks. So it's 7 by 7, and each of the blocks is 7 inches. That'll make it about 50 inches, and then I'll add some borders, and then it'll be just right for a lap quilt. So all I'm doing is flipping this, and I'm just finger pressing it while I'm here at the machine, and not worrying about actually pressing it yet. So I'm just finger pressing it open, or to the side, I should say, away from each other. And then I'm just picking pieces of fabric that are different. I don't care if I don't care what color they are. I just want it to be really scrappy, and I don't want to have the same fabrics anywhere on the block. So I'm just making sure it's not the same as the last piece I sewed, and sewing right on that line again. And the reason that this one is important, sewing on the line, is that your pieces, your little diamond shapes won't match up later on if you don't sew right on the line. So you want them to match up so that you'll have that cute little star shape in the center of each of the blocks. And I'll show you that again when we go back over to the table. So the only ones that matter as far as sewing on the line are these ones in the center. Oops, turned it the wrong direction. And then usually I trim these pieces off. After I flip them. And I just put that extra piece of strip back into the box because I can use it later. Even the short ones can go on the ends. So just opening them up, cutting them off, and putting them back in the box. So then the next piece, so those two center seams are the only ones that are important. It doesn't matter how big your strips are because this is going to be really scrappy. And those strips are not going to match up. They're not really supposed to, at least not in my version of this quilt. In older versions of it, they were done like a regular paper pieced quilt where each line would be a certain width, and then they would match up as you sew them. But the other thing I have started doing is just cutting this off before I sew, just to make it easier. So those lines are not going to match up, but that's okay because it still looks really, really cool. So now I'm just going to keep sewing. And I'm not going to do a whole block because it does take a little while to get all of the strips on. But I just wanted to show you that all I do is just keep sewing different widths and different strips, different colors, different fabrics onto the papers. And I just keep going until I get to the end to the corner, and then it's done. And then I just take it and press it. And I'm just lining up the edge of each of the strips. And it doesn't matter what width they are or what color they are or anything, as long as they're not the same as the one next to them. And because I tend to, if you're in the club, you probably know this, but tend to pick the same sorts of colors, they're all going to match really well together. So this one I put 2 pinks together. I don't care. It's fine. This one I mixed up the blue and the pink. So that's all you do. And then you just keep adding strips until you get to the end of the corner. So I'm just going to take these, leave them to the side, and I'm going to show you. Nope. There we go. Okay. So these are the pieces when they're all done. I've trimmed them down. I didn't trim them right on the line, but you can if you want to. I just go a little bit outside of it. So this is about 3/8 of an inch, because it won't matter how big your seam allowance is, because when you put them together, you are going to leave the paper on. And when you pin, put a pin right through the corner where the sewing line is, and do the same thing for the other piece. And that'll line them up. And then you do the same thing for this corner. And then if you sew right on that line, they'll be perfectly lined up when you. Originally I had, so when I designed this originally, I added these lines because I thought I was going to do a traditional piece one, but I changed my mind and decided to do it scrappy. So anyway, once it's done and sewn together, it'll look like this. And you can either put these together in rows, or you can put them together in a block. If you saw the email from this morning, you would have seen this, but you can put them together like this in a block with 4 pieces and make a square. And that's the star shape I was talking about. Or you can put them together in rows by just putting them together like this as a block. And then you would just sew them together in rows like this. So that's it. Is nobody going to say hi, or am I missing something here? I don't see any comments. Nope, nobody's saying anything. Can you all hear me? Oh, I saw a like. Okay, that's good. And another like. You could say something though. I promise we don't bite. Okay, and hearts. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me the love. So anyway, I hope you liked this. This was our Tuesday tutorial. And I will see you next Tuesday with something new. I don't know what it's going to be, but I will see you then. And oh, wanted to let you know, if you're in the club, that the 24th, we're going to have a special guest talking about color. And she is a very special guest, and you will like her very much. So if you're in the club and you come to our 24th chat, then you will get to see our special guest. So I will see you guys soon. Love you guys. Bye.